going to get a couple of guys back, I think, which will be helpful. But I think players and coaches need a little time to reset, do some self-scout, understand what we need to get better at, obviously go forward from there.
How was practice today?
Good. I thought they came out with some pretty good energy. For us it was a third down day. The rain typically can make things not great energy-wise, but I thought they pushed through that and we moved some things inside. I thought they did a good job handling the adversity with that. So.
Did you cross paths with Justin Wilcox?
Yeah.
In Wisconsin?
Yeah.
What was the
very brief stint. So at that time, Dave Aranda had left to go to LSU, and then Justin Wilcox was hired. I was in transition between becoming the coordinator at UW-Platteville, and so I kind of helped Wilcox get started for a couple of months, and I was in between doing two jobs at once.
Okay. What was that like? You still keep up with him at all, or is that not a brief interaction?
Not much. It was pretty brief, but learned a lot in the short amount of time I was with him. I mean, obviously he's done a great job at Cal and a couple of the other places prior to Wisconsin. He was at, I think, USC, Washington, a couple of other places, and obviously he has a great track record with defense. So.
Now that you're halfway through the season, I want to ask you about a couple of these freshmen that are playing more. Noah Chambers, what are you seeing out of him? It seems like he is not afraid to hit guys.
No, that's probably his best quality. Noah has very good instincts as a linebacker. I think it's a quality that you're kind of born with, honestly. I think a lot of linebackers that have that quality, those make the best guys. He has that instinct about him. He understands where the ball's going to fit. He knows where the crease is. They talk about a back understanding, where the hole's going to be. It's the same thing as a linebacker. He understands those qualities. And every game, I think he just takes a step forward, which is the biggest thing. So.
Did you sense early on that he could be a guy that could contribute this year?
Yeah, I think the hard part for him was he came in during the summertime. Right. And so, he was behind a little bit to start with just because of not being here in the spring like some of the other guys were. But as we got going through camp, we saw the flashes. It was just kind of piecing it together.
What have you seen for his growth from when he first gets action? I think he had 38, 40 snaps, something like that against Georgia Tech.
Yeah, he's demanding. I think early on he's learning it. He's figuring out where he fits in the mold. He's starting to become demanding, which is what you want from a linebacker. He's asking really good questions. He understands what we're trying to accomplish on defense. And he's starting to put together where people need to be, which is a really good quality of a leader, and obviously what you want your will and your Mike linebackers to do. So.
How about Sheldon at safety? What are you seeing on him?
Yeah, I mean, Sheldon, the same thing. Obviously, he got a little bit of jump start compared to Noah, but the thing you notice about Sheldon is he plays things 100 miles an hour, right? For him, his growth has been like in spurts. I think that's what you see when you've watched him throughout the course of games is, he had a couple of injuries at that position, so he got thrown into it, and then it seems like each drive he takes another step and another step and another step. And so I think for him, and Noah for that matter, the sky's the limit.
He doesn't look like a freshman physically. How much does that help?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. Neither one of those guys look like that. When you watch Sheldon's specific speed and acceleration, he can go when he sees the ball, and I think that's what he's trying to work on is understanding the transition of where I need to be and when I need to be, so that when I do pull the pin, he'll go and track the ball down. It's just understanding where that ball's going to be. But yeah, his speed is different. That's what helps him a ton.
JoJo's played a lot of snaps at corner.
Yeah.
Is he a guy that? Where have you seen his growth the most?
Yeah, for him, it's been, I think with JoJo, the corner position's the hardest, right? Because you're put on an island a lot. His personality is he wants that. He wants mistakes to happen so he can learn from them. I think his growth comes from playing against older guys every single day in practice. And then when he goes in a game, he wants to be put out there against the best guys. And I think that's what you see from him is he's not afraid to make a mistake because he knows he'll learn from it and he'll come back and be stronger because of it.
He seemed like he was in the rotation from the get-go with injuries and everything else. Has he put himself in a position where he's going to play a lot of snaps?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a little bit of necessity, right, especially with the corner spot. But he's put himself in a position because of those snaps that he's accumulated to play a lot for us.
Brennan Johnson, who came in as a linebacker, How would you assess how he's done at safety, especially since the run he's got in the last couple
Yeah,
years?
you know, when we took Brennan, we didn't really know where he would fit. He did some things that were similar to what our strong safety position is currently, so I thought that was a pretty seamless fit for him. I think the best quality about him is he's really intelligent. He knows where all the pieces are. Sometimes you need to tell him to not think about it so much and just react and play. But that's his best quality. Is he knows the playbook, top forward, all that. I think that's a really good quality as a freshman to have.
Is there something energizing about those freshmen stepping into roles where they can play that? I don't know, they're young and they're full of energy, I would imagine, going out there. Does it bring something different to the defense when they're out there?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and they're hungry. That's the best quality about those guys is they want to get coached. They want to be coached hard. And any little tidbit of information you're going to give any of those three guys, and 4 or 5, I mean, there's a couple of corners, obviously. They want that information because they know it's going to help them immensely going forward.
What do you see on this Cal QB?
Yeah, this guy's, he's got a quick trigger. He can put the ball where he wants to. I think his arm strength is incredibly impressive. I think when you give him a lot of time to operate, that's when he can really dice you up good. But I think he understands windows. He understands where the zones are going to be. He knows how to find his receivers in space. That's what's made their offense go. And I think he's done a really good job for a freshman. That's a guy that's done an impressive job for them.
This may be a stupid question. Does anything change with him being a lefty? Do you have to be wary of anything differently?
Not necessarily. I think it may be the eyes. We have a lefty in Goove. That's our safeties coach that helps there.
Similar arm strength.
So yeah, completely different. But we try to use him as much as we could, for individual and stuff like that to train their eyes. But I don't know if it's much different, but it is different.
Is De Jesus their gadget guy?
Yeah, not necessarily gadget. I mean, the guy can do everything. I don't know exactly what his stat line was, but I want to say he had 121 yards receiving last week, and probably could have had some more. But he does a little bit of everything for him. They'll line him up in the backfield. They'll give him the ball. They'll jet sweep him. They like running him out in space and slot options and things like that. But he can take the top off, and so that's one guy that we know where he's at all times, and we're going to be mindful of where his location is, because he can beat you in a lot of ways, and obviously special teams as well. So.
What was the biggest thing that you harped on during the bye week?
I think the biggest thing we try to tell our guys was resetting. They needed the time. I think that was pretty clear, to be able to, number one, get their bodies healthy, but also get their minds healthy. They've had a lot of time and a lot of things that have changed and turned over, and that's emotionally and physically for them. And so I think the best thing we could do for them was give them time. They've deserved it. The guys that have really hunkered in and done what we've asked them to do, they deserve that time.
You talked about the Cal QB, said he's most dangerous when he gets time to operate. How crucial is it to be able to get pressure on him?
Yeah, it's incredibly crucial. It's everything. I think when you're not able to get pressure on him, and specifically with your guys up front, it makes for a long day. And all the wins that they've had, that's what he's done. He's diced people up in quick game when he gets to drop back in action shots. If there's time available, he's going to find the crease. And whether it's with 21 or whether it's with 7, 15, 85, they got a lot of weapons, and he'll find them. So that's the biggest thing is we have to be able to apply pressure on this guy with our front.
What kind of advantage does it bring to have a bye week when they didn't know that a little extra time?
Yeah, I think it gives us some time to be able to work on some things that we needed to schematically. And then we also started to do a couple things last week with what their A runs and A passes are, and kind of their bread and butters, to be able to kind of work those and work through some things that we thought were good and maybe test it out, And so now we're into refining and being able to kind of go through it one more time, which is crucial, and I think will help us.
Came up from the NFL, you were at Arizona last, you obviously have to travel a ton. What kind of advantage or what kind of disadvantage do you think that might put Cal at?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard, and there's no, people try to put science behind it and what the best way is to do it. Some people want to go just the day before, some people want to take a couple days before. Everybody has their own theory on what works. I think at the end of the day, it's on the players and it's on the coaches to do what's right for them individually, to be able to get prepared and be ready to execute, not only physically but mentally.
You mentioned the reset. How has that helped for you specifically to kind of have that week off, even if you still have to do practice?
Yeah, I don't really have an off button, so I was watching Cal and trying to get prepared and looking at our self-scout stuff. So I took some time with my girls to be able to reset, and then when my little one went to bed, it was back to Cal. So.
Do you feel like the players have adequately reset ahead of it?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, they had a couple of days to be able to do that, and they felt pretty good, on Monday and then into today. They've had a lot of good energy.
Take one more.
You don't want the last one?
No, I asked you about all the friends
Easy.
you needed to.
Easy. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.